Okay, I think we're all ready to get started. I'm Rhino Feeder here with Quacksilver.
Hello, hello. I'm excited. This is a winner's quarters, I want to say, of the current patch all skills bracket between Jamie and Aertosaber.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and give the runners the countdown here. I'm not gonna count it out loud because there's so much delay that it would just be very anticlimactic.
Yeah, we'll get a good feel for that. You can see the Godseeker file on both their screens, proving that we are, in fact, on current patch. It's a considerably smaller bracket, current patch. I think we've got something on the order of 55 1-2-2-1 runners and just 10 current patch hopefuls. So we are already in double elimination for current patch, as opposed to Swiss bracket. This is winner's side. I believe the winner of this goes on to fight Oko, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with how the current patch bracket looks currently, but I think that's right. So I have given the runners the countdown for what it's worth. Still just waiting. Because again, there is a bit of delay, but they should be underway any moment now. Any second. There
And
we
with
go.
that, they're off.
There we go.
Or at least Jamie is off.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, so while they're loading in here, Quack, it's probably a good time to tell most of our viewers probably more familiar with 1-2-2-1 as a patch because that's the more popular speedrunning patch. So what are some of the big differences to pay attention to in current patch?
Yeah, so the biggest thing about current patch is the critical speed tech that 1-2-2-1 exploits for basically throughout the run, which is lever skipping by hitting them on the unintended side of walls, has been patched out, so which affects our run in a number of ways. Most importantly, it means that you will not see these runners getting dash slash early, because as opposed to 1-2-2-1, where it's basically a movement ability with the amount of stuff it lets you do, dash slash is next to useless for us, so we're going to get it much, much later in the run.
Right, and that's such a big thing because in 1-2-2-1 dash slash is such a critical part of our movement and the routing and everything. So it's interesting to see what we do differently here.
Yeah, and it also, another consequence of that is we have to stretch Geo a little bit further, because as opposed to dash slash doubling as a skill and a means of accessing the Shade Soul ability, current patch, you have to spend another 800 Geo to get the Elegant Key in order to get to Shade Soul the intended way. So the current established current patch route has a very hilarious detour to Massive Moss Charger in the mid-late game to cover some of that Geo that we need.
Right. Yeah.
So it looks like we're getting a sync up between the runners here. Shout outs to our SpeedGaming staff for being so on the ball with this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like my fourth or fifth match I've commentated, and they've just been tremendously wonderful to work with. It's been a very smoothly running tournament, to say the least.
Yeah. Another unfortunate byproduct of the current patch thing is we don't have a load normalizer on because the load normalizer assembly only works for 1-2-2-1. So there may be a little bit of split between the runners, although it looks like they're mostly load synced. Doesn't look too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and important to note for viewers, despite the fact that they are using a load normalizer, the final race will still be determined by their loadless time, just to account for any small minor differences between load times still. But both runners pretty synced up here going to the Aspid arena. This arena also a little bit different on current patch. Getting the double spike kill here on these Aspids is much more consistent, especially from the bottom platform there you see, whereas anybody familiar with other runs probably won't see many people going for that bottom platform double spike kill, but very consistent on this patch.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that current patch unequivocally has over 1-2-2-1.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I really think it, like, because I have done current patch runs, just not of this category, and it undeniably runs a lot smoother and feels better. That is one thing I'll give current patch.
Yeah, that is, the optimization is worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely. Oh, Jamie having some trouble jumping up there, letting Aerto take a little bit of a lead.
And neither runner opting for statue pogo there. While we're in Crossroads, while we don't have dash, it's just these very, very small movement optimizations that you can see people opt into. But mostly, it's just a very consistent route. You hope that False Knight doesn't jump away from you, and that's about the Vengeful Spirit split.
And I'm a bit nervous for Jamie right here, being at 1 HP. But, you know, False Knight, anything could happen here with bad RNG, or if one of these husks decides to be a bully, but a runner of Jamie's caliber, not too concerned about a death here. And before I just commentator cursed her.
Nah, totally
Okay,
fine.
Very well done.
Especially on like PB grinds, I like to joke that False Knight always gets one, but on marathon, on races, you really don't want to give False Knight that luxury.
Right. There's an inverse relationship between how good of a pace I'm on and how good of RNG I get at any given point in time.
Yeah, fortunately for the all skills racers in general, there are a couple of big RNG breakpoints in this run.
Yeah, and we're about to come up to a fairly, well, I shouldn't say huge, but the first real RNG moments in this run, which is the Balder Spits, exiting Ancestral Mount here, where the Balder has a 50-50 chance of either shooting a mini Balder or a fireball, or an infection bubble, if you will, at the Knight. And there can be, despite the fact that it's 50-50, we've seen some pretty bad luck for a couple runners, and there's not really anything we can do to manipulate that RNG either, so I'll be curious to see if any runner gets blessed here.
Yeah, I believe the tournament record to date is 11 spits before getting a mini Balder, and the overall world record in air quotes there, is I think 19, which is some truly ludicrously low odds.
God, yeah, if somebody wants to do the math on that real quick, jeez.
Like, I feel like at that point, like, if you get, like, 8 or more spits, I feel like you just keep the run going out of spite.
Yeah, and Aerto getting a 1 spit, Jamie with a 2 spit, so not too much of a difference. I think that's about 1 second that you lose getting an extra spit, so not too big of an advantage for either side here.
But we're not quite out of the woods yet. As opposed to 1-2-2-1, where there is a consistent quick kill on the second Balder, on current patch, that was patched out, so you have to engage with the second Balder in much the same way. So not only do you need to roll the dice of getting good spits as well, but you also need 9 soul in this Gruzzer room, and if the Gruzzers spawn in an inconvenient way, you can lose time for no reason just to collect back up. It looks like both runners getting pretty favorable patterns, though.
Yeah, and one big thing I noticed that both of them did was normally we see people go up and to the right in that room to start climbing immediately, and both runners went up to the left to get 2 extra hits on the tick-tick there, which, from what you just said, makes a lot of sense because they need 9 hits throughout the whole room, so. And then likewise, we don't get to do this fireball skip here. Because, well, we just had to use all of our soul on the Balder.
Yeah, sometimes you get excessively lucky, and as the big Balder is dying, he spits another little one, so you can gather soul for it, but that is few and far between.
Right. I wonder how much time that would actually save, because getting the fireball skip saves roughly 3 seconds, so I almost wonder, like, if collecting the soul and then going for it would even be worth it.
Yeah, you basically need to be incredibly heads up and, like, kill the last Balder as it's coming out in order for it to be worth it, but sometimes the stars align.
Yeah, and we are coming up to the first planned fireball skip here. We'll see if both runners get Jamie. Okay, gets it really quickly on a backup. Very nicely done. I think I saw Jamie. I think she's about 2 seconds ahead. 1 or 2 seconds. Either way, this race pretty neck and neck still. Yeah, about 2 seconds ahead for Jamie.
And yeah, Aerto just a little bit shy of that second fireball skip. Fortunately, because enemy spawns are much more consistent on current patch than they are on 1-2-2-1, but you can usually get that backup. I've heard it called man pogo, but or dude pogo. But unfortunately, the Huss there decided to just walk straight right, so Aerto forced to walk around the room. Gonna lose a decent chunk of time there.
Yeah, that's a really I mean, I feel like with how close these players can run to each other, though every time You know, we're gonna think about, oh, how did Jamie get 10 seconds ahead, or how did Saber fall 5 seconds behind? We're gonna have to remember those tiny moments because the race very well might be that close.
Yeah. Also, Erdo not picking up a whole lot of Geo from that Moss Knight. It looked like he only grabbed like 25 of it.
Yeah.
Geo is relatively tight. Like, obviously, on the whole, we have to go grab Massive Moss Charger and some other things, but hopefully that will not be too much of a drag. But I would be surprised if he didn't spend a good chunk of time making sure to collect all 170 of this Geo.
Right. Yeah, Geo can definitely get to, and again, like and he missed. I think he just missed a 5 Geo rock, but we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah, backing it up by making sure to kill that Moss Charger.
Mm-hmm. So both runners here at the first boss fight of the run, which Hornet won. I don't expect, both Jamie and Aerto very experienced runners. I don't expect any deaths here, but this is definitely a place that Aerto can make up some time with a really good fight. And Jamie with a really quick, fantastic fight there.
It looks like she got very clean doubles.
Yeah, not really giving Aerto much to work with in terms of coming back, but a good fight from Aerto as well. So Jamie on the quit out, 8:30-ish, 8:34 there.
Yeah, and also a good chance to check their current patch quit outs. Looks like they're both relatively consistent. On current patch, there is unfortunately some variance in how long the timer keeps going after the last input for current patch. It should not matter much over the course of this run, but there are some runs like 4 mask shards, the shorter ones, where the difference can really hurt.
And before like this race comes down to like a 2-second difference.
If that's the case, I pledge to blame it on Balder RNG instead of anything else. It's always Balder RNG, except for when it's Umu RNG.
Yeah. Yeah, so runners having to use a sequence of dashes and stalls to not hard fall during this drop, because again, we don't have inventory dropping here. But
yeah, big difference. Inventory dropping still technically exists, but it can only be done as you walk off a ledge, and it is physics frame perfect. So a lot of the typical movement in like 1-2-2-1 Mantis Claw, you see like dashing and inventory dropping in midair, and that simply cannot happen here. So there are a number of like dash strats to work around that.
Yeah, one thing to note, we haven't, I don't believe, Quack, that we've talked about the runners' PBs at all. So Jamie has at least on the boards, has a 59:05, 59 minutes 5 seconds. And Saber, I believe, literally 5 minutes before this race started, just posted like a new 30-second PB.
Yeah.
So of 1 hour and 40 seconds. So
yeah,
that not too terribly far off.
And it looks like both runners are going around. We saw Jamie attempt V-Sync based E-Pogo there, and unfortunately get hit but not quite make it up. And Aerto, it looks like drop past E-Pogo. I'm a little disappointed because I know Aerto's a big proponent of the Panta E-Pogo, the one that doesn't use V-Sync and just does slick movement around instead.
Right.
But as far as race safety goes, I can understand the impulse to go around. And since both runners are doing that, not going to be a huge time difference between them. Although both having a little bit of trouble with this Mantis Pogo.
Oh no, it looked like Jamie accidentally / there when she meant to pogo. Oh no. Because I think she had that, but Saber is going to pick up a lead here now. Wow.
Yeah, that's when the Mantis youths bump into each other in midair and just completely screw up your pogo, your impression of the room, it can be very rough.
Yeah. Did you notice, did Jamie turn V-Sync off after failing E-Pogo?
No, but it should automatically fix on this save quit.
Gotcha.
So yeah, because of I'm not exactly sure what any setting changes you make inside the game instead of on the like main menu will revert after a save quit.
Oh wow.
So typically you like get vsync epo go quickly grab claw and then just save quit. It's more unfortunate that you have to go around.
Right. Either way, I believe Aerto is in the lead. It looks like it in real time. We'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Aerto's got a small lead. It might not be as big as it looks. Let's see. Aerto left the room. Jamie's in at 11:51. Oh, so Jamie's actually
still
yeah, wow.
Yeah, just barely ahead. I think both of them going around is the real thing here.
Yeah.
Also, chat with the fix that it is an even more specific case of spaghetti. The vsync changes only revert if you exit the menu with pause button.
Oh.
I'm sure there's an internal logic to that.
That is so interesting. I think on the new 1.5 beta patch that's fixed, but I'm not positive. I think I saw some people in the Discord talking about that.
Yep. So you see the Gruzmother quick kill on both sides, quick damage rotation of nails and fireballs, and Aerto getting a pretty good cleanup. Only one
real nice.
Gruzzer escaping.
Let's see what kind of cleanup Jamie has here. Ooh, 2 escaping up. Okay, real good cleanup there.
Yeah, very smart backup. Get in the sulfur fireball quickly, so you're not chasing a Gruzzer around the room.
Right. All right, so Aerto leaving the HUD at 13:02.
Yeah, as opposed to the 1-2-2-1, we do need to rescue Sly because we need Elegant Key for later. So you're gonna see a shade skip exactly like the any % setup, where we damage on the way to Sly and then finish ourselves off on the way back.
Right. And despite Aerto looking ahead in real time, I believe when I checked them when they left Salubra's hut, and Jamie had a 7-second lead. So, despite Aerto being ahead real time, she still has the lead, at least for now. Again, 7 seconds this early into a run is very, especially in a tournament setting. Anything can still happen. That's not at all a death sentence for either runner.
Especially when we are coming up on everyone's favorite location in the entire game, Soul Sanctum, in just a minute here. 7 seconds is nothing in the face of Hell Room.
No, yeah, so why don't you tell everybody what's so painful about Soul Sanctum here in this category?
So yes, if you're familiar with the 1-2-2-1 race, you know that this is typically the point when runners will grab dash slash, go ahead and lever skip into Shade Soul, and then breeze through Sanctum, aided by skipping all of the major pain points and finishing the boss at the end off with Shade Soul. And on this patch, we get none of that. We get absolutely none of that. We are still going to kill Gorgeous Husk for Geo, but rather than backing out to Kingdom's Edge, we're just going to muscle right on up to Soul Sanctum and do the entire thing unaided by lever skips and with Vengeful Spirit. So it is a much, much higher density of RNG, because if Soul Twisters decide to teleport directly into you, there is very little you can do about it.
Oh, that sounds so brutal. So one thing I am trying to keep an eye on as well is we had commented earlier that Aerto's Geo looked fairly low and he was skipping a lot in Green Path. And I'm curious to see how much that hurts or doesn't hurt him at all as the race goes on. 652 coming out of Gorgeous Husk. Jamie at a number that looks substantially higher. He has 675, so about roughly in the neighborhood of 20 Geo difference. So I don't know how tight Geo is this early on, but I'm curious to see if that plays any sort of role here.
Aerto looks good for Geo right now. The biggest thing that it could end up coming back to is towards the end of the run, when we finally get dash slash, it can amount to some additional hopper farm then. Optimally, you want to go from Upper Kingdom's Edge to Lower Kingdom's Edge in this route. So the hopper farm can be a little bit less comfy than it is on the 1-2-2-1, where you're just farming rows along the bottom. But it's also perfectly fine. It doesn't save that much time to go top to bottom and then quit back to Hornet Bench. You could see Aerto take lower route in Kingdom's Edge to get comfy farm if he needs to. But both runners looking pretty good on Geo right now in general. None of the upcoming breakpoints should be too bad.
Yeah, we just saw both runners go through a little mini boss there, having to take out the Great Husk Sentry, because we can't lever skip into this room here, which is normally dark in 1-2-2-1. We actually have to do it the dev intended way. How terrible. But
at the very least, we get the lights on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And without further ado, it's Sanctum time.
It's Sanctum time. Yeah. Yeah, this is a place where. So, would you say it's totally? I don't want to say expected because both runners very skilled, but is this a place where deaths can commonly occur in this category?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Especially for being as early into the run as it is. Like, I think Hornet Sentinel is also a very common way to kill you, but it's very late in the run, and you have a bench right there, so you're much less likely to reset. I think I reset to Sanctum more than anything else in this run.
We already see Jamie with one of the Soul Twisters bouncing right into their way when they're dashing. This
and you can
about earlier.
You can see some of the safety strats at play here. You can optimally try to avoid riding elevators as much as possible, but also riding elevators gives you some sort of scaffolded time to heal if you need it, which can be very useful if you're getting bullied by Soul Twisters.
Yeah, Jamie got bullied, taking 3 damage there, or taking some damage in that last room. And Aerto making his way through what I believe is Hell Room. Oh!
Yep, that's Hell Room, all right.
All right, he makes his way through pretty cleanly, leaving at 1742. We'll see where Jamie is when she leaves.
Yeah, Jamie with the heal right before Hell Room. The classic marathon strat. It's like, look, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not taking any chances.
All right, so both runners left Hell Room at 1742, so pretty even here. I would be shocked if they're both tied coming out of Soul Master, even. A boss with a bit of RNG in the patterns that we get. I would be quite surprised.
Especially, again, no Shade Soul, so the quick kill strats, or the Soul Collection strats that you see, where you hit the Soul Canisters through the wall, can't be done with this spell. So you are much more reliant on getting good patterns and him allowing himself to be doubled. Looks like Aerto with a pretty good first phase, but Jamie managing to get some nice doubles as well, so we'll see how synced they are coming out of Desolate Dive.
Yeah, Aerto got the final hit for first phase there at 1836. I don't know what I will do. Okay. Jamie's... we finally have a discrepancy in time here. Alright. Oh, Aerto taking a couple hits. Gotta be careful. There. Very nice.
Yeah, and not ending the fight with any soul. As with all spell pickups in this game, Desolate Dive brings you back to full soul. So if you're low on health, you sometimes end the fight with a little bit of soul so you can heal while Desolate Dive is falling, because you will get a soul refill anyway on the boss.
Really nice up slash from... I really like the up slash strat Jamie went for there. That's a really interesting strat. I like seeing that. Yeah,
it's pretty comfy. And one of the reasons you see Aerto healing here is because there is one more lever skip that 1-2-2-1 performs that we can't perform to avoid dealing with the follies at the bottom of this room here. And especially on higher FPS, when the follies like to zoom around, they can just randomly do 2-3 damage to you for no good reason if you're not careful. Geez.
So it looks like both runners collecting the Geo chest up above in this room. So what are the big things right now that the runners are gathering Geo for? What are the big purchases coming up?
So the next big thing, we're going to head to King's Station, grab that, and then after that it's Elegant Key coming out of the Crystal Peaks section of the game. And that won't quite zero out your geo. That's only 1100 between those two things. But we want to have some geo left in the bank for... You've got all of the basin tolls to pay for, as well as dash, slash, and distant village stag later in the route. So a little bit over 1300. I think 1340 is like you're comfy on geo benchmark for coming out of Sanctum. But gotcha. So Aerto a little bit low, but shouldn't ultimately impact him until much, much later in the run. So plenty of opportunities to make that geo back up.
Yeah, and on that same token, Jamie looking extremely comfortable with her geo routing here.
And Aerto also not opting to farm any of these husks here. It's obviously much more critical on 1221 when you're coming out of Sanctum with like less than 300 geo and need to just afford the stag.
Right. Yeah.
But in the interest of speed, and also both runners remembering to take the Spire bench, good. Much like 1221, we save quit back here after a long time. This bench needs to stay for a while, and so late deaths in Crystal Peaks can be super costly.
Oh yeah, because then you have to go all the way back through city, back to take the stag, back to Dirtmouth, or did they get the Forgotten Crossroads stag? I think I saw. Right? Is that right, or am I crazy? I might be crazy.
Yes, you at least have Forgotten Crossroads stag. We can thankfully afford that, but
gotcha.
But yeah, it's still no fun to have to like walk back to, for instance, D-Dark from Spire.
Right. Yeah. Assuming that this section is similar to 1221, I always say that's probably one of, if not the worst place to take a death in this entire category.
Yeah, that or the first Hornet fight. Both cases, you just have such a long way to travel.
I didn't even think about Hornet one. Yeah, that is a brutal time loss. Because at least in Crystal Heart, if you've opened the lever after Crystal Heart to go to D-Dark, then at least when you come back, you can skip a lot of C peaks.
Yeah, so nice. Chat confirming we got just about an 8-second difference holding steady between these runners coming out of King's Station stag. So still plenty of things that can close that gap or separate it further.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they should have used a longer load normalizer, because I know some runners have had issues where if their PC can't handle loads as fast as the normalizer, then it still just puts them behind. But again, we use loadless time for this, so the final result will still be counted from the loadless timer.
Yeah, and they are neck and neck, basically RTA, so I have no worries about the photo finish quality of this race, especially if this pace keeps up for both of them, which it's not showing signs of stopping.
Yeah, and to point it out, I don't believe we've really seen any big major mistakes from either runner yet. And whenever I think about who is going to win in a race setting like this, I'm always looking for where's the big mistakes, who's going to make the first big mistake that lets the other runner get a massive lead. And obviously we've had some minor time losses from both runners, but nothing that seemed catastrophic or insane here.
Yeah, no unintentional deaths, no giant diversions. Remembering the route, which can be a major glitch at times.
Yeah. Well, Saber not hitting that inventory drop, you hate to see it.
Yeah, this tall room from Crystal Peaks is one of the moments where current patch inventory drops hurt you the most, because these falls are just so long otherwise. Jamie showing off the back up there. You can dive if you miss the inventory drop, but it's a facsimile of the real thing. And also it eats up your soul, so you can't use the cute little fireball skip on the laser gauntlet there.
Yeah. Both runners doing the damage cycle here. Like to see that. I know a lot of people, even at full health, will opt to do the damageless Crystal Heart cycle here, just because, you know, in a category like any percent, we save and quit out here, so we don't really care what our health is. But here, our runners have to go through a bit more of Crystal Peaks, through a dark room even, which can be tricky to get D-Dark here. Probably the most used spell in boss fights in this category.
Yeah, no question. And this first dark room, one of the annoying things about current patch is the Crystal Hunters. They upgraded their fire rate considerably.
No.
So it is much more likely that you get cheesed out by a Crystal Hunter, the one that like lurks at the front of the room there. If you're not, especially if you're going for, there's a safety strat where instead of dashing through the room, you crystal dash through the room, but you have to be very fast on those crystal dashes or else the Crystal Hunter will ruin your day. Looks like Jamie opting for that crystal dash, but still getting it fine.
Yeah, I think I saw Aerto do one crystal dash, so perhaps a hybrid of speed and safety that he's worked on in practice in preparation for this. Very clean movement up here through the crystal mound. Oh, there's no early control here with the slidey dash slash.
Yeah, you won't get to see any of that shenaniganry. You can still get early control by luring a Crystal Hunter up there and having him hit you out of the pickup animation, but the lure is both difficult and long. Like, optimally done with a perfect lure, it still saves you time, but it is very annoying to get, not marathon safe.
Gotcha. Yeah, so one of those things that's just, in a marathon setting, as you said, probably not worth the risk of missing it and losing more time than it's worth.
Yeah. It's still only on the theory level for in-runs in general. Definitely not something to be busting out for the first time in a very tight race.
Yeah, definitely. All right. We'll see what time both runners go into the dream sequence at here. But Aerto doing some fun tech smashing, and Jamie about to do some herself.
And honestly, thank everything that we get to skip most of these dream platforms with Crystal Dash. Dashing across these is just falling off of dream plats. You can still see it happen here. Especially if the runners go for under plat 2, under plat harder.
Let's see it. Let's see if Aerto go under plat 2, electric boogaloo. There it is. You love to see it. That's the content we came here for.
But on the other hand, falling off of dream plats for whiffing that under plat is so demoralizing.
Oh yeah. And Jamie not going for under plat. So I think that's about I think we add about 30 seconds to the runner's timer for not doing underplat. Really
yeah, no, the rules very clearly state. Although Jamie did have a not just any underplat in C-Peaks, but a pretty swag underplat in C-Peaks, getting very, very close to the crystals. So I think it's a wash overall.
Oh, Jamie almost quit. Oh, okay. It looked like Jamie was accidentally about to quit out there. That would have been
Yes,
bad.
that sear skip is much harder to do on current patch because the game gives you control later. You basically have to like get the first dash up close to frame perfectly. Don't quote me on that though, but it is very tight. And so typically you'll see what happened on Jamie's screen where you get most of the way out of the Sears little enclave and then just wake up there instead.
Yeah, I can count on one hand the number of times I've successfully done a current patch sear skipped. It's much, much more difficult.
On the other hand, if you just get Dash Master, that becomes free. So...
yeah, there you go. Right, so, Aerto walked back into King's Pass, I think at 28-23, did I see? Jamie might have... Assuming I'm not misremembering, because my memory is absolutely terrible. I'm just realizing doing this climb without wings seems kind of painful, but Aerto making a good, quick work out of it.
Yeah, it is a little bit more scuffed when you don't have wings, but movement's not too bad. So yes, since we have to come back to Dirtmouth before getting Shade Soul anyway, this is also our Cyclone/Detour on top of Elegant Key. Given that Cyclone Slash is pretty out of the way, disconnected from all other skills, This was as good a time as any. Honestly, in both routes, the moment you get Cyclone Slash, it feels like, well, this was as good a time as any to get it.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too that in both 1.2.2.1 and current patch, but more so in current patch, Cyclone Slash is also a fairly movement heavy nail art we pick up, as it allows us to drop a lot quicker and cancel hard fall animations on long drop.
Yeah, it is the poor man's inventory drop.
Yeah, it's a good way of wording it. Yeah, for those who don't know, if while falling you execute a Cyclone Slash, it greatly increases your fall speed and negates a hard fall. So very, very useful in current patch categories where inventory dropping isn't an option.
Yeah, it also definitely does look cooler than inventory drop. That is a valid point.
Oh no!
Showing up. Unfortunately, you can't hit that grub through the floor anymore. So that is purely a symbolic grub free, acknowledging the desire to save grubs while also acknowledging that it would simply be too much time lost to go all the way around. So
that's almost more hurtful. It's like telling the grub, hey, I see you there. I'm just consciously choosing to leave you.
So now, at long last, we're finally going to get Shade Soul. Aerto opening up the fight with some Vengeful Spirits. We do have Descending Dark at this point, but I would be lying if I said I have not done this fight completely D-Darkless before.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, I'm like, shouldn't they be using a little more D-Dark? Because that does way more damage than VS, but what do I know? I'm a dirty, filthy 1-2-2-1 runner.
No, it is even... D-Dark does twice as much damage as a Vengeful Spirit double. It is unquestionably the preferred damage source, but it's just, I don't know. There's something about this fight. You always remember that you have D-Dark by Watcher Knights, because obviously Watcher Knights D-Dark is a bit of a meme, but something about this Soul Warrior just makes you forget the Descending Dark button. I don't know what it is.
That's so funny. Yeah. Well, it looked like Jamie did not forget how good of a spell D-Dark is. She makes really quick work of the Soul Warrior there.
Yeah, and that's going to widen the lead a fair bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So now Aerto coming up on Watcher Knights here, which, as you just said, can be a bit of a meme in this category. I never like to use the term free for anything, but it's compared to other categories, this fight is much, much easier because of D-Dark.
Yeah, it's much, as opposed to something like any percent where you're constantly at risk of dying. Here, the fight is much more about hoping that the Watcher Knights try to stay close together in the later parts. Because if the Watcher Knights... The worst part is if you lose out on quick kills and the Watcher Knights decide to spend all of their time on opposite ends of the arena, so you can't just mop them up with, like, one set of D-Darks.
Right.
And so a lot of this is about trying to keep them slashing you and keep them together so that you can dispatch two at once. And for instance, with Aerto there, you see they immediately split up, and that's much more painful.
That's no good. Oh, nice. He still gets a really quick kill there. Very well done.
Yeah, let that be a lesson. The grounded hitbox of D-Dark is much wider than you may think it is.
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize how wide that hitbox was until I started running all skills. I'm like, oh my god, it reaches halfway across the arena. Crazy. Another thing important to note, though, for D-Dark on current patches, the iframes we get from using D-Dark don't last as long as they do on older patches of the game. So it's still long enough to be completely fine for our needs, but for example, you can't just stand inside of an enemy's hitbox spamming D-Dark over and over. You have to... There's enough iframes to give you a quick second to get out of the hitbox, but not enough to keep just spamming D-Dark. So you'll see a lot of runners quickly step out of the hitbox, get a nail hit, and then cast it again. So there's a little bit more technically involved.
And you'll see also both runners going, since we can't just freely inventory drop, we're going to knock the elevator switch on the way up, send it to the top position on the exit for Lurian, so that you can get a frame-perfect inventory drop. This is the inventory drop that you most want to hit in the entire game, because slow falling down Lurian's Spire is painful.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if both of them get it because I remember probably close to a year ago at this point, Jamie was actually the person who taught me this inventory drop because I didn't know it existed, but it's fairly consistent. And as you said, it's probably the biggest, longest vertical drop in the entire run, so very important to hit. Yeah, Jamie 31 seconds ahead now, so increasing that lead. Oop. Aerto not getting, he's just gonna...
Resigned to his fate.
I feel like Cyclone Slash is probably a valid backup there, right?
Yeah,
Jamie
there is
gets
enough
first
time.
try.
There is enough time on the fall, even if you miss the inventory drop, that you can charge and execute a cyclone drop in the time it takes.
Yeah. Aerto was just so dejected by missing it. He resigned to his fate and accepted the super slow fall.
Sometimes you just need a moment to breathe.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, look, this category doesn't do grub father. You don't get any free built-in breaks. Just take a nice slow fall and recalibrate.
Oh, you do get the longer because you can't skip the Dreamer cutscenes, so you do get those.
That is true.
All right, so now this is probably. Do they go to Isma's here? Is it like
yep.
Okay, they do. So here's another place where Aerto could potentially make up a big chunk of this time deficit if he gets a really clean skip here and Jamie struggles a bit.
Yep,
first try for Aerto.
First try, yeah. That spike tunnel is not easy, but both runners making it look like that. It is a little bit nicer on current patch than 1.2.2.1 because you have fewer like freeze frames from pogoing the spikes, so the movement just feels a little cleaner and more intuitive.
And I think Jamie hit every single skip first try, so that's a really, really clean segment here.
Yeah, Jamie was talking in practice earlier that this is the set of skips that she is most comfortable with out of everything in the run, so a good show of execution there, with Aerto not too far behind.
So I think I don't know if anybody in chat would know, perhaps, but I'm curious if either runner is on PV pace right now as we approach what I believe is roughly the halfway point of this run. Or at least somewhere in the neighborhood of halfway.
I actually don't know much myself. Like there hasn't been a huge amount. I think probably not, mostly on the back of neither runner getting e-pogo. If I were to take a guess. Because that and the Mantis Pogo, I feel like these runs have both been very, very good, but I don't know that they've been good to the tune of making up 30 seconds somewhere else in them.
Gotcha. Wait, on current patch, if you charge a nail art, does it persist through a room load?
Yes. Well, it resets. You still have to recharge it.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Chat telling us Jamie's about a minute behind PV. Okay. All right, so heading in now to a lot of people, one of many people's favorite sections is the Maulerk section, where with a series of very precise movements and jumps, it's possible to make it through here with only 1 or 2 planned hits and no unplanned hits. Yeah, you see Saber there. Jamie there, that is a planned hit. My understanding is to just C-dash into that infection bubble is actually the optimal time-wise approach. Saber opted to play a bit safer there. Again, we're going into a boss fight here, so I can totally understand why it might be worth sacrificing like half a second or so here and there to maybe get a little bit of extra time or extra health for this boss fight.
Yeah. Broken Vessel doesn't often kill you, but when he does, especially because you see neither runner opening the shortcut for safety, you have to do Maulerks all over again. No one wants that. We also saw Aerto go for the variously dash cancel, dash jump, dash setupless maneuver to Broken Vessel, try and fail to execute it, whereas Jamie just opted to go around. So a little bit of time loss. That basin skip is only time save if you get it on the first attempt. So you usually see runners make one attempt of it and then go around.
Nice. Really clean fight from Jamie. Aerto, okay, oof. My heart stopped there because I didn't realize Broken Vessel was dead. And I saw Aerto dash on top of the hitbox, and my heart dropped for a second, but he knows what he's doing. He knows what's going on.
Yeah, and that heal there was all for mentality. We save quit right after Monarch
Yeah.
Wings, but man, being at 1 HP on Broken Vessel feels bad. And yeah, you can see it looks like a little bit of nerves on Aerto's screen there.
Yeah, they're even though there's literally nothing that can hit us in this section, there's just an element of nerves that comes with the UI changes in the screen and whatnot when we're at 1 HP. So I totally get that.
Yeah, I have definitely healed just to make the visuals cleaner.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm gonna switch audio over to Jamie actually, as she's both in the lead, timer wise and RTA now. So.
And so now it is time for everyone's favorite RNG machine.
It's time for Umu already?
Yep, Hornet happens very, very late in this, so now we're just gonna go get all of the horrible everything out of the way in one fell swoop. Gonna do Umu and then route through QG and Deep Nest thereafter, and only then get to Hornet.
So my understanding is it's possible to kill Umu with one cycle on current patch, but it's not nearly as consistent. And by the way, seeing there, I watched both runners dropped into the well at like the literal exact moment, and Jamie's low was just like a quarter second longer, so that's probably why there's a little bit of discrepancy in the RTA. But Jamie very, very comfortably ahead by loadless time here.
Yeah. And yes, there are a couple of theoretical setups for Umu 1 cycle. There is a D-Dark based one that is reasonably consistent. More likely for the race setting, what I imagine we'll see is the runners imitate the any percent Umu movement, which, if you're really lucky, can lead to a 1 cycle. And if not, it makes setting up the 2 cycle trivial.
Yeah, and I believe in Jamie's practice right before this race, I saw her saying she was just gonna go for the any percent setup, and if she gets a 1 cycle, then cool. If not, well, 2 cycles bit free, as you just said. So, but anyway, it'd be some content to see the D-Dark, because I've actually never seen that setup.
Yeah, basically it relies on D-Dark plus 3 nail hits being slightly more damage than Shade Soul doubles.
Nice.
And yeah, it looks like both runners opted for not safety bench here, which I can respect. Again, Umu, not super likely to kill you unless things go horribly wrong. And it looks like Jamie is going for the cursed 1 cycle here.
Ooh, Aerto did not get it. It looked like he went for it, though.
Yeah, no, that was the setup for the D-Dark 1 cycle. It looks like he needed 1 more Shade Soul double, maybe 2 more Shade Soul doubles. I didn't see the off-screen one. But a little faster, and that was the setup.
Yeah, and as you said, it makes... oh, Jamie, please don't die. Again, yeah, as you said, it makes the 2 cycle very trivial, which Aerto showing off there, so really good fight.
Yeah, both with 2 cycles. Jamie a little bit later into the 2 cycle, but not near enough to elapse the lead, I imagine.
Yeah, at this point, I'm trying to think of places where Aerto might be able to close a bit of this gap, and I'm thinking maybe a death in Queen's Gardens or Dark Deep Nest or something. But barring that, I think Jamie is comfortably in the driver's seat.
Yeah, if Dark Deep Nest goes wrong, that's a good place. Other than that, probably variance in the Hornet fight. But we're slowly running out of ways to like get a free 30 seconds on your opponent.
Right. Yeah, and the other place I'm thinking, and I don't want to... I'm going to get blamed for this if anything happens to either runner, but things can go terribly wrong very quickly in the Abyss climb.
Yeah, it's happened before. It will happen again in this tournament.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially if it's close. We saw yesterday how you can lose control of your abyss climb very quickly if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
trying to really push a lead. So yeah, about 40 seconds it looks like between the runners coming out of Monomon here. I've definitely lost more than 40 seconds in Dark Deep Nest before.
Oh, yeah.
Anything is possible, but Jamie looking comfortable for this third act of the race.
Yeah, definitely. She seems very in control of her movement, everything going on. And yeah, like we just said, I feel like this is Jamie's race to lose right now, where it's gonna be it's gonna take a mistake from her for Aerto to come back. But we'll see. Maybe maybe Aerto has something up his sleeve. We never know.
Yep, still very possible. And now for the best fight of the run, unequivocally. We're going to take a quick detour. Because of our Geo not quite working out here, we're going to say hi to our friend, the Geo Shrub.
The Geo. And this Geo. That fight is even quicker than I expected.
Yeah, no. If that first Shade Soul doubles Massive Moss Charger, which can be done consistently, you throw Soul at him, and he's dead.
Very quick fight.
So now it's worth revisiting the Geo counts, because for our last expenditures we need 1050. We need 800 for Dash Slash and 250 for Distant Village Stag. There is a Devout still en route to kill, so Jamie is looking done on Geo. Aerto has a pretty big margin to claw back. Gonna need to diligently get some farm from perhaps the QG arena, or perhaps like being very diligent about picking up in the Wraith's room, or if not, is just gonna have to farm some hoppers.
Yeah, you answered my question before I could ask it. I was gonna say, where can Aerto make up all this Geo that he needs, but those seem like good spots. I don't know exactly how much the hoppers give, but especially with how many we can kill with Shade Soul, I feel like that's a pretty quick farming method.
Yeah, hoppers give 16 Geo each, 23 with Fragile Greed. Shoutouts to the all unbreakable charms.
Jamie having some try. I don't know if you saw that from Jamie, but
yeah.
She tried to start her C-Dash like 3 times, and it just wouldn't come out. You hate to see it.
Sometimes the C-Dash button says no.
Oh, goodness.
But talking about Geo, in addition to the hoppers, which are not too bad to farm, there's also a Geo Rock. If you come from the upper path, like upper to lower Kingdom's Edge, there's a Geo Rock that is not too long to break and drops 45 Geo. That is another avenue. If that alone will fix your Geo problems, I think it's usually good to go for that instead of chancing it with hoppers.
Right. Oh, Aerto taking... Oh, right, going through QG, because we don't need to go...
Aerto on 1221 brain for a second. Since we can't lever skip out of Wraiths, we have to go through QGA entrance, go up to Wraiths, and then go back down, as opposed to just taking the easier path with the help of Dash Slash.
Right. There's the lever we would normally hit through the gate, but we have to come up the correct dev-intended way.
Silly devs making you play the game the way they wanted you to play the game.
Yeah, right.
Absurd.
Who do they think they are? Alright, so this arena, despite looking quite hectic, the squits do spawn in identical positions every single time you run it. So most runners have a setup they like to use for consistent kills, and wow, really well handled by Saber there. That was incredible.
Yeah, that was a nice Shade Soul on the last phase. I'm a fan of the D-Dark for the last wave of squits there. It's a little bit slower, but in my experience, it is much more consistent. But they all
Jamie showing off her own
nicely.
D-Dark. Very nice. I always forget how massive the hitbox is for D-Dark. Just crazy. Yeah, really nice mount from both runners, honestly.
Yeah, and so Jamie with that, good on Geo. Aerto is still about 60 away, 60 to 70 away.
You said they need roughly 1,000 here?
You need 1050 after Hera in order to be good. And that's it for the run.
Yeah, 250 for the stag, and then 800 for dash slash makes sense. Ooh.
And Jamie? Another unfortunate thing about Petra Arena on this patch is they have one more hit of health. So Shade Soul alone won't kill. You either need Shade Soul to double or you need to nail hit plus Shade Soul.
I always forget that, and I was like, wait, why didn't the Petras die? Cool.
It's usually not a time loss thing, but every once in a while, especially if the Petras have their MLG Pro dodges on point.
Very nice movement from Jamie there. Well done. And Aerto coming up to one of my favorite rooms. Well, currently doing one of my favorite rooms in the whole run. There's just so much to do here. So much soul to collect, so much movement to do. He almost got hit there.
Oof. I'm farming just a little bit of soul on those spiky boys. In keeping with the dev intended rhetoric, they fixed the spikes there so that they actually have hitboxes. So it's not totally free to farm soul off of them.
Yeah, that's always something that surprises a lot of people that watch 1-2-2 run. Like, wait, why are those spikes going straight through you and doing nothing? Yeah, so here's a pretty crucial moment in the run here. We talked about Dark Deep Nest. Important to note, if you get hit by any spikes and have to hazard respawn in a dark room without lantern, no matter where you were, the game puts you right back to the start of the room. So there can be massive time loss here, but both runners getting through pretty cleanly, it looks like.
Yeah, there's one more very unfortunate set of spikes that Aerto just passed there.
Yeah, well done.
If the spider on the wall doesn't ruin your day, though, you've earned a safe passage to Beast Den.
Yep, and it looks like Jamie also making it through. It's very hard to see the screen, so it's kind of hard to talk about what's going on there, but suffice it to say that both runners went through those rooms pretty cleanly without any major issues.
Yeah. Choosing to take opposite sides up to the secret entrance to Beast Den there. They also both are nice and topped up on soul. You want 2 casts in order to be able to de-dark and then shade the soul. The Devout here for a quick kill on it.
There we go. Yeah, also cool to note that in category, this isn't all skills exclusive, but any category of this game where we have enough movement, we can pretty much skip all of Beast Den just by going up that little hole through the ceiling in the first room there.
Which is very convenient, because Beast Den in its full intended state can be a bit of a pain point.
So 49-32 for Aerto coming out of Hera. And we'll see where Jamie is. 48-44, so a little less than a minute lead.
And at this point, most of the, not quite all, of the RNG is behind us at this point, unless you get some really garbage parries from the 2 remaining bosses that can parry your spells. It's basically just execution testing for the last... for the last couple minutes of this run. Aerto does have a pretty substantial amount of Geo to make up. Needs 54 more, whereas Jamie is completely good.
Yeah, that's definitely going to contribute even more to this time difference here. Yeah, the only real places I can see big time being, well, if there's a death to Hornet, then all bets are back on the table. Likewise, if trying to think, if sibling climb can definitely be troublesome for some runners with the nerves of a race setting. That's a big time loss. Abyss climb itself, I don't think I've ever seen anybody die in Abyss climb, but there's definitely a lot of movement that can go wrong there.
Yeah, those hazard respawns in Abyss climb are no fun.
No.
So Aerto is still committing to going the upper path through Kingdom's Edge. So you'll see both runners then grab Hornet Bench and then drop down to dash slash from there and save quit back. This is one of the rare instances where the route is actually different on current patch PC and console. Because console is timed RTA, the save quit takes a sufficiently long amount of time there that they don't take this route.
That makes sense. Yeah. So it looks like both runners are heading downward. Yeah, Aerto needs to farm some Geo here. I hope he realizes.
Yeah, it looks like he's using rows of hoppers here. Should also be able to grab the Geo Rock if that's insufficient. Oh no, he's going back up. There are two hoppers to the right by Markoth that are probably faster to farm rather than this doubling back. But at this point, made it through.
Yeah, he's got his 800. He's all set.
And, oh, that great hopper there. Being rude to Jamie, knocking her out if there's a C-dash you can do there, but that's what Aerto just went for. So, little time losses on both sides, basically amounting to preserving the lead where it was.
Yeah. So it looks like somebody in chat quack asking you which route is faster.
I think optimally done upper route saves on the order of 4 or 5 seconds. So, and that might honestly be with some amount of farm in there. I don't know the exact timing, but upper route is definitely faster. Unless you're like so behind on Geo that you need like to farm all of the rows of lower hoppers. Because at that point, the incidental farming power upstages the actual time save of the route. But it's very rare that you're in that bad of a Geo straight.
Right. That makes sense. So now RTA, both runners pretty synced up here. We're going to get to watch Hornet 2 at the same time, which is always super fun to commentate.
Yeah. She jumps around quite fast.
Yeah. So one of Hornet's most annoying attacks is her Parry Attack, where if you hit her while she's in her parry state, not only does it do no damage, but also she counterattacks you fairly quickly with a somewhat long-range swing of her own needle. Even worse is if you shoot a spell at Hornet during that phase, it also cancels out damage from your spell, which is absolutely brutal in a speedrun where we're relying mostly on spells to do damage.
Yeah, and this fight you'll see a decent mix of Hornet is light enough that it's relatively kind to go for Shade Soul doubles on her, especially when she's in the air, and also abusing D-Dark, especially when she does her long-range needle throw attack to just get above her and D-Dark her.
Both runners at 1 HP. Oh, there's a death from Aerto. And Jamie gets through with 1 HP. Ooh. You know, I definitely like to have a never say die attitude, but that very well might be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's a tough one to come back from. Both of them on Fury for a while there, but Jamie able to finish her food there.
Yeah, that was... I was definitely nervous watching both, but... that's really unfortunate for Aerto. Because, like, I swear that prior to that death, it wasn't me just trying to be, like, Mr. Fake caster hype. Like, there was genuinely a chance there that Aerto was not completely out of the race, you know, with a death or something from Jamie, but being the one to take a death, I think that's just backbreaking.
Yeah, if that death had been on the other screen, this would be a very, very tight race, but as it is...
Oh, yeah.
Aerto needs not just skill, but luck at this point in order to take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he needs to play incredibly and hope for some mistakes from Jamie. Hey, anything can happen. I never want to call it over till it's over, but it's definitely Aerto has quite the mountain in front of him to climb.
Although, dang if that wasn't a fast Hornet fight there. Playing with a vengeance at this point.
Yeah, I'm very sure he wishes that was his first fight.
Yeah. Especially when, to keep up with chat's tally, Aerto was not too far off from his recent PB on up until that Hornet death. So
now runners heading to the Abyss, I believe.
Yep, now we have all of the route divergences between patches are over and done with. Now it's just Abyss and the Hollow Knight. So we've got two relatively insidious climbs coming up in short order here.
Yeah.
First with siblings, and then Out of the Abyss altogether.
Poor Jamie fell in the swag door. Now, one thing I am interested to notice, I do know prior to the race, Jamie told me that her sister would be helping watch the pace, and so she knew what kind of pace she was on. I'm curious to know now if Jamie sees, okay, I'm clearly in the lead. The only thing that can lose this match is if I have some really unfortunate deaths. Do you think Jamie plays a bit safer here now?
I would be surprised if she didn't, honestly. Especially,
Yeah.
the Hollow Knight is not the worst fight ever, but on current patch, he's much more aggressive to deal with than on 1221, especially the Pillar Attack, which does double damage on this patch. So I wouldn't be surprised to play that. I would not be surprised if we saw that fight go a little bit slower, just to make sure you don't accidentally get too cocky and die.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that assessment, because at this point, it's Jamie's race to lose. Yeah, and Jamie's surviving the sibling climb well. Aerto collecting some soul. Okay, so we want soul for D-Darks here, because, again, no inventory dropping. Makes sense.
Aerto declining swag door in the first place. Respectable. At this point, got a race to finish.
Right. Yeah, and again, as somebody pointed out, I think we just said Aerto was kind of close to PV pace. I don't know how far back that death puts him, but you know, tournament PVs are still pretty pog, so I can totally understand wanting to race for that, even if the race itself might be looking pretty grim.
And Jamie, you saw earlier, abuse that save quit on Shade Cloak because it hard saves you, and because it gives you... Oh, Aerto on 2 health. Hold on.
What? Yeah, 2 health, which during this client... Oh, no, there's a death.
There it is.
Yeah, those siblings do 2 damage. Ugh.
And with no safety benches anywhere, have to come back from the King's Brand hard save.
Yeah.
Really unfortunate.
Meanwhile, Jamie going to collect the final skill in all skills, the Abyss Shriek, which, despite being the most powerful spell in the game in terms of potential damage output, it's so incredibly far out of the way of anything that it doesn't really save us any time to get it earlier. It doesn't allow us to do any faster boss fights than we already know how to do with D-Dark and Shade Soul for how much time it takes to get out of to go out of the way and get it.
Yeah, especially a category of this length overall. Like,
right.
When in 1XX, or at least in 112, when you don't have Fluke, you want Abyss Shriek as your source of damage as early as you can get it. But here, we can already one-cycle Umu, and that's really the big hurdle in most shorter categories, is how fast can you reasonably kill Umu.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jamie taking this climb very carefully, very safe, not going for any of the spike walls or anything. I think this is just very much a case of she knows she's got a commanding lead. She doesn't want to do anything to completely throw the pace. Just playing safe and smart here.
Yeah, not letting the shortfall there phase you. Much better than a hazard respawn in this pit.
Yeah, as you said earlier, hazard respawns and the Abyss climb kind of have a mind of their own, and they're very, very unforgiving. So,
all right, Aerto.
Here's something I just thought of actually with Aerto. Going back to the sibling climb, how difficult is it to find your own shade among all the siblings?
Yeah, it's you really like the music cue for that is much more helpful than any sort of visual. He spawns pretty consistently above that platform. Yeah, so it's not the worst thing to find him, but especially if you get chased by the siblings on the lower platforms, like if you fall early, it can be real annoying to find your shade.
Yeah, I just thought about that, like, wait, we're gonna look pretty similar to all the other, like, black ghostly blobs following us around here. Are we gonna get any content out of Jamie here? Oh, we are. You love to see it.
Night go spinny. one of many ways that you can perform some sort of action into that cutscene for a fun little animation from your knight. You can use any nail art, or you can use Cyclone or Dash Slash. You can also use Crystal Heart or Shade Soul for a truly cursed looking knight there.
What happens with dash slash? I didn't know you could do dash slash into there.
You just like charge forward. It's not as fun an animation as Spinny Knight or Cursed Knight.
Yeah, I've only seen Cyclone and C dash.
Chat informing me that you can Shape of Un into the transition as well. I have yet to see that, but incredible. And okay, so Aerto clawing back, made his way to Shade Cloak as Jamie is starting the THK fight.
You
Jamie,
a lot of D-Dark.
Yeah, in practice, Jamie was able to get 2 scream skips for a Comsob THK.
Oh yeah, that's a super cool thing to note. Yeah, Jamie just got Comsob in this fight like 5 minutes before this race started. So, really cool.
We'll see, no scream skip there, and there's the double damage pillar being a bit of a troll, but looks otherwise like a pretty clean fight.
Be careful, Jamie.
I'm not saying anything now for Comms Curse.
Oh my, I thought THK was gonna fall forward onto her and kill her. Oh my god.
Man, bosses staggering into you and dying, and killing you rather, is so awful. There it is.
There it is, yeah. Very good race from Jamie. Not a PB, but still very, very good execution. Very good run for a tournament setting.
Inside of a minute of PB is an excellent race time to have, and it looks like this might pull out the sub-hour as well, which is no small feat for
let's go.
59, 59, 69. Nice.
Less than half a second, but still within sub 1 hour. Sub 1 hour in a tournament setting is really, really impressive. So GG's to Jamie. I'll switch over to Aerto's audio now. We'll watch the end of his run here.
Yeah, and Aerto, in the meanwhile, while Jamie was finishing up the run there with a very solid Abyss climb as well. So just the THK fight left. And yeah, I was curious about that. Chat saying that is the fastest race time for current patch to date.
Wow.
So, no small feat. Jamie going to advance to play Oko. Like I said, I will check on that when we go to post-game, but winner semis.
Right. And no Cyclone Knight or Rocket Knight from Aerto.
We got it. We're all business now.
Yeah, it's all business.
Hollow Knight to dispatch. Got a run to end. Got no time to go spinny.
So let's see. So we'll see what kind of fight Aerto has. I thought it was interesting to see Jamie opt for so many D-Darks and Shade Souls. I'm wondering if that's a current patch thing with THK's attacks being so much faster than on 1-2-2-1.
Yeah, that's probably an element of safety. I think optimally you're standing right underneath him and spamming Shriek up into his face like you do on any patch. But that tends, because of the speed of his attacks, to either very much test your Shade Cloak button or give you a fair number of damage tanks. So for safety's sake, D-Dark iframes are they're pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely. We can see Aerto abusing the staggers there to get some Shrieks in. And I would expect to see, yeah, this is a good time in this fight to heal. For those who don't know, when THK is in the self-stab phase, no matter what we hit him with, it only registers as 1 damage. So it's a good time to heal, as we're not really doing any damage anyway. Especially when we think about how much damage Shriek normally does, it's very negligible. Getting the Scream Skip, that's some content here for the end of the race.
A good note to end it on. So it looks like going to be just shy of 104 on the ending there from Aerto. All things told, not a bad race time at all. Very solid
Aerto
performance.
Aerto in chat saying Hornet 2Y.
Sometimes it be like that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna mark
GG's
Aerto is
to both
done
runners.
now. Yeah, GG's to both. Yeah, very good race, very entertaining, very enjoyable way to spend my Saturday afternoon here.
It looks like I see both runners in commentary setup, so let's pull them both in here.
And we'll get a quick interview. Hello, runners! Congrats to both of you on finishing your race.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was an interesting moment. That was the second time ever I've done a clockwise Kingdom's Edge,
Yeah.
which is interesting, considering I kind of screwed up the dash slash bit.
Yes, both runners. What are kind of your initial reactions right now? You know, fresh off of finishing that race, how are both of you feeling?
Jamie, you can go first.
All right, I'm feeling kind of all right. I lost about 30 seconds to my balance in the last 3 splits, which, as you may have seen from the Abyss climb, made sense, and from the THK fight. But other than that, I think that was actually relatively clean from a pretty annoying missing V-Sync Pogo at the beginning.
Yeah, and Aerto, how about yourself? Obviously, probably not the race you would have wanted, but you know, still some really clean movements, some good sections. You know, how are you feeling after that?
Yeah, I'm definitely a little pissed. Hornet 2 does what Hornet 2 does. I think I would have killed her if she didn't parry that last E-Dark. Actually, I'm pretty 100% sure that would have killed her. So it's really unfortunate. So my last 3 splits were really good. I golded all 3. Just two,
nice.
It just takes 2 deaths to make me run fast.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that second Hornet 2 fight looked like you were like vengeance mode was activated.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Jamie, if we are to believe what somebody in chat said, the time you just ran is the fastest time that a current patch runner has gotten in this tournament so far. What are your, any initial reactions to that? How does that feel?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. I didn't think it was sub 1 hour initially because I forgot. I know Rhino's already told me exactly the time between the final hit and stopping the timer, but but I was still kind of surprised that was sub 1 hour.
Right. Yeah, I sometimes don't tell people because I like to build suspense for chat because they don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That was me right there. I was like, is this gonna sub 1 hour? What?
Yeah. Well, I know Aerto, you said you ended with 3 golds. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there anything, you know, happy to take away from that you know, I know especially you probably weren't in a super great mentality knowing that you were behind, you know, to have the mental fortitude to push through and still gold 3 splits, how does that feel?
It feels good. I'm looking forward to the rest of my races in the losers bracket. Insomnia is a little scary first match in the losers bracket, but I hope I get to see Jamie again sometime in the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And
I hope
think,
so too.
Jamie, I think you're going on, I believe we said, is it Oko, Quack?
Yeah, I've got the bracket pulled up here. Jamie is going to advance to play Oko, and Aerto, with the hard call out, is going to drop to play the winner of Insomnia and Lucario, which is going to happen later today. And then has a decent trek back through losers bracket to theoretically get the run back against Jamie, including hypothetically going through me.
I'm looking forward to the rest of the tournament. Yeah. Hopefully
Yeah,
less
so
Hornet 2 deaths.
Good question for both runners, and I guess we'll start with Jamie. What are some parts of that run that you think like in between now and your next round you're gonna look at and say, okay, this is a section I really want to practice before my next race?
All right, I'm gonna learn Zephy Pogo. Because I
Okay.
am divorcing VSync ePogo after having
What?
spent.
Yes.
I've spent
VSync is
all of my
terrible.
time. I have spent all of my time saying, "Oh, it's not that bad. It's not too bad." But today, I have barely got it in practice, even. So
I want people to realize this is history here, as Jamie has spent a substantial amount of her time telling me that VSync ePogo is free and I should just do it. So, to declare here live on air that she
yeah.
won't be doing it anymore is
We
absolutely.
got another
monumental.
one.
We got another one, yeah.
And
And,
further to that, Abyss Climb, definitely. But other than that, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
quite happy.
And Aerto, how about yourself? Any sections that you really want to practice harder and focus on before your next race?
Well, yeah, same. I'm gonna learn the Zephyr ePogo, but I hope that's easier than Pentapogo. At least they said it was. And I'm also Hornet 2. I'm probably gonna put a decent amount of time in to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, that's a brutal fight, honestly. That happens to the best of us, honestly. One other thing we were wondering a bit, Quack and I, was for Jamie. I know you had mentioned prior to the race that you were gonna have somebody letting you know what kind of pace you were on, where you were in relation to your opponent for the race. Did that affect your strategy at all, especially towards the end where you knew you had quite a lead?
I will say I basically didn't think about it right up until the very end, when I asked for my time around about Shade Cloak. I sort of asked, and then to that I just went, okay, I can slightly relax a bit, and then because of that relaxing, I then completely screwed up the Abyss Climb. So, you know, 50-50
Don't relax too
there.
much next time, right?
Yeah, I'll try not to.
Yeah, I do want to point out on screen, Aerto did just murder Mila. We thank him for it.
Yes,
Winner in our hearts.
Winner in our absolutely.
that's one win from today.
That's right.
Unbelievable. I can't believe we have biased comms here.
Yeah, well, that's about all the questions I had. Anything from you, Quack?
No, I just wanted to congratulate both runners again. I appreciate the insane amount of time that people have been putting into current patch, especially as a side bracket that started kind of mimetically. To see all these times come down so much in the past, just couple weeks has been real insane, and I'm excited to see where the tournament goes.
Yeah, definitely. On that same note, one thing I didn't know that you could do on speedrun.com is you can filter the leaderboards to look at the what the positions were and what times were there on a specific date. And if you look at what the top 10 even in a category looks like before the tournament was announced versus now, the improvements made in this category are absolutely astronomical. So it's really cool to see runners pushing things that hard. Okay, I think that's it from everyone here. Jamie or Aerto, any last minute shout outs or things you want to say to everybody?
No. Follow comms. I'm gonna exclamation mark comms now. But follow comms. I guarantee they did a great job. And go follow Jamie
You're
too.
too kind.
You're too kind. And
Absolutely,
Jamie, anything
yes.
from you?
Definitely gamers.
Don't follow my second account. It's probably been linked. I'll put mine in. My actual account. Twitch. There we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Esther, for the race as well.
Good job, Esther.
Yeah, well, I'll get one final congrats to both runners, and with that, we'll see you guys next time. And be sure to keep checking out some of the other racing.
If you are a fan of Hollow Knight, this is a 6-race day. This was race 2 of 6. In just half an hour, there is another match between Monsteller and Homophony in 1221. I don't know what channel that's on off the top of my head.
SpeedGaming 6.
SpeedGaming 6. There is basically nonstop Hollow Knight all day today, as well as tomorrow. So if that's what you're in for, there's plenty of content coming your way.
Yeah, I will tell you guys that Homophony is an absolute legend of this game, Mr. Rando, and Monsteller, obviously in his own right, an absolute god at Hollow Knight, the current world record holder in all skills. So if there's one race you watch this weekend, definitely don't miss that one. That's going to be a crazy good race.
But yeah, I think that's about everything. Yeah. So GG's again to everyone. Thanks, Rhino, for jumping on the mic with me.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in so last minute. Appreciate it. All right. Well, that's going to be it for us. Make sure you catch some of those other races and take care, everyone.